Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel today. My name is Uchenna Michael Bali. I'm a certified project management professional. And, I've been going through, a series of topics on project management. And today also, I'm going to be introducing a very new topic. It's going to be one of the knowledge areas in the predictive project management. So if you're with me this morning, I want you to sit tight and get ready for that topic. And I want to promise you that as much as possible, I'm going to make it as understandable as possible. Just sit tight. I'll be right back in a bit. Thank you. Yeah, welcome back. Yes, like I said just minutes ago, I just say that I want to introduce a topic this morning in predictive project management. And today we're going to be looking at, we have just 10 knowledge areas in predictive project management. But today we're going to start with the first, which is project integration management. And project integration management is like the overarching key knowledge area. And every other knowledge area we're going to be talking about after this project integration management are going to be subsidiary, knowledge areas on the project integration management. Yes. So now we shall consider the following knowledge areas under project integration management. And generally, if you've gone through the PMP guide, the project management book of, body of knowledge, you will understand that, we have the basic knowledge areas, and also we have other knowledge areas under each of the basic knowledge areas. Now, I'm going to take this, bit by bit, and we're going to look at the various knowledge areas under each of the basic knowledge areas. So we are supposed to have, generally, we have about 49 knowledge areas. Going through the project, knowledge area charts, you're going to see that we have about 49 of them. And I want to believe, and I'm very hopeful that you're going to be with me as we go through all this. And it's very important for you also professionally, if you're a practicing professional project manager, and you've been practicing, you've not been able to apply these key, principles in project management, I would really advise that you join me this time around. Pay attention as we go through all this, because it's going to be very helpful in your professional practice. And also, possibly could just be that you want to write your CAPM exam, or you want to write your PMP exam. This will be the right platform for you to get hands-on. I mean, for you to get, clearly understandable, explanation to the key principles that you need to be able to write your exam and come out successfully. Yes. So just join me. And if this is your first time in this YouTube channel, and you have been following up my videos, and you want to, have it, each time it drops, or you want, a kind of the videos to be handy, I want to just hit the like button and subscribe to this video, so that each time I drop my videos, it's going to come to you very handy. Yes. So now we should consider the following knowledge areas under project integration management. We're going to look at develop project chapter. What is a project chapter? How can we develop a project chapter? We're going to look at how to develop a project management plan, direct and manage project work. What does it mean? Then manage project knowledge. How can we manage project knowledge? The monitor and control project work, perform integrated change control, and then finally, we're going to look at the closed projects or the closed phase. So these are the things we're going to look at. But first of all, you need to understand that the project integration is the primary assignment of the project manager. And that means I would not be wrong to say that, the project manager can also be referred to as the project integrator. All right. So in your PMP exam, most of the time they will tell you that another name for the project manager is, that you can simply say that what is a project integrator. Why? Because we have to integrate all the other project knowledge. Okay. Under the project integration, you have to make sure that everything works together simultaneously and in absolute agreement. So that is why we call the project manager the project integrator. Okay. So now it involves putting all the pieces of the project together, all right, into one cohesive whole that gets the project done faster, cheaper, and fewer resources while meeting the project objective. Please, I have to say that I actually picked this definition from the Rita Murphy exam prep book. So, the project management, project integration talks about you as a project manager trying to put all the pieces together. When we talk about all the pieces, we're talking about the scope of the project, the cost of the project, the schedule in the project, the risk of the project, the quality requirements in the project. You want to talk about the stakeholder requirements, the communication planning, the procurement planning in the project. You're putting all these pieces together so that you want to make sure that everything works together. All right, there's agreement in your project execution. So that is just what project integration is all about. You as a project manager, you're looking at the scope of the project and you're saying, okay, how much is it going to cost me to be able to execute the project within the scope? You're looking at it and say, okay, now how long is it going to take me? That's the schedule. How long is it going to take me to accomplish that project? And then you're looking at the communication requirements in your project. So these are, you are integrating, you're simply integrating the various elements of the project. So that is what project integration is all about. Yes. So now we have the process group table and the knowledge area table right here, in case you've not seen it before. So right here, take a closer look to this, you're going to see that we have the project management process group, and just over the table, and then just by your right, you're going to see the 10 major knowledge areas. And I'm going to you can see there's 10 major knowledge areas: integrations, the project is integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality, resource, communication, risk, procurement, and schedule. So these are the 10, major or 10 foundational, knowledge areas in project management. And now I am going to be, I'm going to pick each of this topic one after the other. All right. So for today, we're looking at the first one there, which is integration, project integration management. And this talks about it coordinates activities across all project management areas and process groups. Yes. So now, we develop project charter. What is the project charter by the way? And then how can we develop a project charter? Now, in my own, explanation, I want to use my own words to paint it in a way that can be clearly understood by everyone. The project charter is just a document, right? It's a document authorizing the existence of the project. That is just what it is. And it simply means that without the project charter, there cannot be a project. Okay, so a project only exists because there has been a project charter covering or authorizing its existence. So that is what a project charter is all about. So this involves using all the information known about the project from the project selection techniques process to achieve an approved signed project charter, which authorizes the project to continue. So for you to have a project, that means you must have done a pre-selection project analysis like we did. I think I have a video on that where I talked about project selection techniques. So if you've not seen the video, please, I want to advise you that you just go through. You're going to see the video on project selection technique. Just go through it and you're going to see the pre-selection criteria. You don't just jump into a project, you have to go through a lot of criteria to be able to select your project. So once you have done that and you're actually certified that this project is a kind of feasible, it's workable, it's viable, then you can now go ahead and design a project charter and authorization document signing in the existence of the project. So now it's the responsibility of the project sponsor, all right, to create the project charter, but he or she can be assisted by the project manager. Yes. So in your exams, in the PMP exam, on your CV exam, maybe after they ask you, okay, whose responsibility is it to create the project charter? All right, they were going to give you options: the project manager, the clients, all that. So you need to understand that it's the project sponsor. All right, the project sponsor is the project owners or the project sponsor's responsibility to create the project charter. But meanwhile, the project sponsor can be assisted by the project manager. Why? Because you want to borrow from the professional skills, all all right, of the project manager. He needs advice on how to design the charter from the project manager. The project manager will be there to play an advisory role, but it's not the responsibility of the project manager to design the project charter. Yes. So now, the project charter, what does it look like? Like what can be found right in the project charter? So we have, for you to design a project charter, you have to put all this into consideration. First, you need to have a title of your project. For instance, you want to build a 4-bedroom duplex, for instance. That's the title of the project. So you have to write it. That'll be the first thing you're going to write, the construction of a 4-bedroom duplex. That's it. So the next thing you're going to do, we're going to talk about the assigned project manager and his authority level. All right, if you following my video also, I talked about organizational structure, and in the organizational structural aspect of the project management lessons I've discussed so far, you'll see that I talked about the powers or the authority level of a project manager. You could be a full-blown project manager, and you could be a project expeditor or a project coordinator. So it all depends. But one thing, the difference is this: the authority level. As a project manager, you're given the full right, all right? You're given the full right to use organizational resources, all right? Okay, to apply organizational resources on the project. As a project coordinator, you discover that you might not have rights over the finance. Yours could just be that you're playing just an advisory, or you just advise them, you just tell them. As a project expeditor, yours is just to make sure that you provide templates of operation. As a project expeditor, you have some certain level of authority, but then it is highly limited. So there are differences you need to understand. So right in the project charter, you can see that the assigned project manager and his authority level is clearly spelled out in the project charter. And also you can see the business keys right there in the project charter. In your project charter, you can find your business keys. Some people call it what? The business plan. Is still the same thing. All right, the business plan. And also you have the pre-assigned resources. Okay, sometimes you have to kind of pre-assign us. Okay, for the head of the engineering, I want this person to be in charge. For the head of accounts, I want this person to be in charge. These are pre-assigned human resources. And also, you're going to say, okay, now maybe there are equipment available in the organization. You have excavators, you have payloaders in the organizations, you have all that. You have some facilities, you have enough computers. You can say, okay, we have about 20 computers, we have about 7 excavators, we have all this. These are pre-assigned, human or physical or material resources owned by the organization. So these you have to list them down right there in the project charter, so that we will have to put, kind of the place to take off from, the takeoff point. Yes. So also you have key stakeholder list. When we talk about key stakeholders, it means that these are the key personalities in the project. It could be the project owner, it could be the kind of the partnering, the kind of principal partners in the project. It could be a lot of people, but key project, key stakeholders in the project, and also high-level product description. All right, the key deliverables. So you have to tell them when we talk about the deliverable in the project. We're talking about the product, the final outcome of the project. So you have to give us an idea right there in the project charter. What are we looking at? Okay, so what do we expect to see? So you're going to have to give us a high-level product description, okay, and a key deliverable. Tell us the quality of the project. Tell us what of the product, please, and then tell us how what we hope to get at the end of the project. So that is contained in the project, and also high-level assumptions. When we talk about high-level assumptions, most times you have to start making assumptions in your project. All right, you have to make assumptions about the possible time of completion for that project. You have to make assumptions about the possible cost. All right, general project cost, okay, or the total contract sum for the project. You have to make assumptions about the resources, possible resources that you need. Are there risks in the project? Could it be that you might not be able to complete the project due to terrain, political terrain, atmospheric terrain, or whatsoever? So you have to make assumptions and write them down and see reasons, possible reasons, challenges, and also a kind of advantages you can ever take. You can kind of take advantage. You look at a kind of challenges in the project. Then you look at things that could be of advantage to the project goals. So you have to, these are just key assumptions you're making, and also measurable project objectives. You have to look at your objectives. right? That will help you. You can actually use this to measure, right? Measurable project objectives, to measure your performances. Okay, it will actually give you insights into the performance of the project, even when you have not started yet. So now also we have the project approval requirements. You have to state that clearly. What are the approval requirements? Okay, quality requirements and the rest of them. Then overall project risk. You have to tell us the risk in the project. All right, and also the project exit criteria. At the end of the project, you have to close your project. So what are the criteria for us to exit the project? Okay, we need to complete all the procurement. We have to sign all the documents. Who is to sign the documents? What and what are we supposed to do? So all that will have to be, put into consideration. And also, finally, you have the final validation of project. I mean, the signatures of project sponsors approving this project. So bear in mind that if the project charter is not signed, then the project has not been authorized. So yes, it's very important for the project charter to be signed by the project sponsor approving this project. So that is for the project charter. So that takes us to the next, next knowledge area on the project integration management, and that is going to be develop project management plan. Now, once your project charter has been signed, the next thing you're going to do, it means you've been given the go-ahead to develop your project management plan. Now, what do you need to do to develop your project? In this discussion, we need to note the differences. There's the differences between, the project, the management plans and the project management. Okay, I would like to bring this up also, please. Our PMP students, our CAPM students, please pay attention to this. We have the management plans and we have the project management plan. Now, I think I kind of in my slide, I was able to show you examples of the various knowledge areas, key knowledge areas, 10 of them, ranging from integration scope, scope, cost, schedule, quality, risk, resource management, stakeholder communication management, procurement management, and all. So these are just different management plans. So these are management plans. If you look at the plans there, it's plural, meaning that we have so many plans. So these are the plans we are referring to. Then project management plan is one document, but this document is all encompassing. It simply means that it's just like a bed with many children. Okay, many children. So you see that. All right. So many children. So you see that the project management plan is all encompassing, having other elements of the plan built right inside of it. And that's just what it is. So the management plan documents the strategy and approach for managing the project and the processes relating to scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholder management. All right, so the project management plan, the project management plan integrates all the individual management plans into a cohesive whole, creating a centralized document to describe what is involved in a project. So right in the project management plan, you can find the cost management plan, you can find the scope management plan, you can find the schedule management plan, you can find the quality management plan, the risk management plan, the resource management plan, the communication management plan. You can find the procurement management plan, you can find the stakeholder management plan right inside the project management plan. So the project management plan is all encompassing. So this takes us to the next knowledge area, which is the direct and manage project work. So the direct and manage project work is that aspect of the project management of the knowledge area where you have to direct the project work. So this process represents the integration aspect of project executing. So the part of the project where the work is done to build the product of the project. Please, before I go, I want to say that your project management plan will have to be approved also before you can use it. So the key stakeholders, the project owner will have to approve the project management plan, and that approval will have to be in line or in agreement with it has to be in agreement with all the key stakeholders, right, to avoid any contradiction or to avoid somebody coming up to tomorrow to say that, okay, no, this is not acceptable. So for you to be able to do that, you have to make sure that there is a general agreement by all stakeholders, and the project management plan will have to be approved by the project owner before you can go ahead and execute the project. So now, after the approval of the project management plan, the next thing you do is what is to execute the project. So that execution, aspect of the project or piece of the project is what we call the direct and manage project work. Okay, so the project manager integrates all the executing work into one coordinated effort to accomplish the project management plan and produce the deliverable. So this is the action aspect of the project. Okay, here you put all the plans into action. Now you have a blueprint. You have something that can guide you. You have something that you can look at and then carry out your actions in the project. So that is what the project management plan is. So now you have that, and now you are kind of carrying out the work of the project. So while you're doing it, daily you're taking records. It's very important. It's daily you're taking your work performance data. You're writing down your work performance data. And the essence of that is that because you have a plan, you've made a plan for this project. You want to make sure that your daily construction, your daily execution of the project is in line with the plans you've laid down. So as the project progresses, you want to kind of take measurements of the progress, possibly daily, weekly project, weekly record, okay, daily records, monthly records. You want to take these records and then kind of compare the parameters, okay, physically related to the plan that you have, or you call it the baseline, all right, the baseline. So you want to make sure that you're working or your performance is in line with the baseline. So that's the essence of carrying out a daily check on the project. So while your work is going on, I'm going to come to that when we talk about the monitoring and control. So, but meanwhile, the direct and managed project work is the aspect where you have to kind of execute your project. It's the area where the project is being executed. Now, direct and managed project work involves, gathering work performance data, creating and using the issue of maybe there are issues in the project, you have to note them down. The essence of that is to make sure that in subsequent projects you'll be able to make reference to this issue, and then it will help you to better approach and address subsequent problems in the project. It's a kind of an experience bank, all right? It helps you to manage, challenges in your project and also requesting changes. Okay. Now, in a project management, when there is a need for you or anyone to make a change. Now, let me tell you, I want to say that you have the right to make a change if you feel something is not right with the project. Okay? The predictive project management methodology is very strict, if I may use the word strict, because you don't just do things anyhow. Once the project has been approved and signed by the project owner, you can't just effect any change in the project. So that gives the kind of a very strict and very stringent, it makes it a very stringent process, kind of, right? Very rigid. It's not that flexible. So for you to make any change, there's a need to raise a change request. So change request can be raised by the project manager. Maybe you feel something is not right with the project and you want to suggest a change, and it could be raised by the project owner, it could be raised by any stakeholder at all. But then there is a process. The process is this: you have to raise a change request, and right in the change request, you're going to tell them the change and the need for this change. And then once the change has been raised, all right, you're going to go through what we call the perform integrated change control. All right. Now, what that means is that the project manager will have to, you're taking the change to the project manager, that he will have to kind of do an analysis of the change. When I mean analysis, he's going to evaluate the impact of the change you're requesting for. How is it going to impact the project? How is it going to impact the scope? Because the scope has been signed at baseline. The amount of money, the cost for the project has already been in a kind of generally agreed and signed. Okay, the schedule, the duration for the project has also been agreed upon. And now you're bringing a change. Possibly your change could mean that you have to extend the time of the project. It could mean that it's going to be an extra cost to the project. It could mean that it may affect the quality of the project. So you just have to do, project manager will have to do an evaluation to see how this change request you're bringing is going to affect the project. Then after that, he's going to forward it. Once he has done that, he has brought out all the impact. That's an impact assessment of the change request. So he's going to take it to the change control board. Yes. So now I know in most of the organizations you don't have a change control board, but major organizations actually has change control board. For those who want to write their PMPs, I'm always assuming your question that there is a change control board system. Yes. But if there is no change control board, there is always people who are charged with the duty of evaluating changes and then giving approval. But the essence of the change control board is to look at the changes and then go back to the baseline. When I mean the baseline, I'm talking about the approved, signed limits for the project that have been placed on the project, generally agreed by the stakeholders. That is the baseline, meaning you can't just change it. That's why you say it's the baseline. You can't just change the code. You can't just change the schedule. You can't just change the quality requirements. You can't just change it. For you to change it, you have to come to the table. And on that table, everyone will have to be in the know as regards the new change you're trying to introduce. Yes. So now that is performing integrated change control. So if at the end of the change request, the change control board decides to approve your change request because of reasons that are very, very beneficial to the project, then the project manager will have to take it back to the person that requested the change and inform the person officially that the change has been approved. And then he will document the change. And after documenting the change request, he will go ahead and make sure that the change has been implemented in the project. And then if the change was not approved, he will still go back to the person requesting for the change. And with reasons, possible reasons why the change cannot be approved, he will let him know and then also document the change. Yes. So it's full of documentation. In predictive project management methodology, it's a process filled with documentation. So now, after that, the next thing is the managed project knowledge. The managed project knowledge. Now, while your project is going on, the managed project knowledge is also under the executing process group. All right. So you're going to manage the project knowledge here, which are considered two types of project knowledge. All right. We shall look at the explicit knowledge and the tacit knowledge. Now, simply, I just want to explain it in a way that you can understand. The explicit knowledge is like you listening to me right now, and I'm telling you principles about project management. It could be like 100 people listening to me at the same time, and I'm talking about principles in project management. And everyone's getting this principle, right? And they're noting it down. And at the end of the training and at the end of the lectures, you write your exam and become a certified project management professional. Now, they are all the same. They are all certified. They passed the exams. They are now globally certified project management professionals. All right. So now, maybe you go to the field of practice. All right. You're just your experience level at this point will be like, maybe let's say it's just 1 month. If it's going to be 1 month for one person, it's going to be 1 month for all of them that will be them at the same time. All right, that's the explicit knowledge. So they have this knowledge at the same time. But then explicit knowledge is easy to be transferred. Like you listening to me and I'm telling you principles. You're noting them down. You're learning them. You're getting to understand these principles. I'm transferring these principles to you. Sorry. When in the case of tacit knowledge, it is not easily transferable. Okay, the only way you can transfer tacit knowledge is through job shadowing, all right, or through observation, or through experience. Now, let me explain this practically. For instance, Mr. A and Mr. B All right, Mr. A, became a project management professional in the last 20 years. All right, and since then he's been practicing, he's been applying these principles, he's been, he's been, upskilling also. He's been upskilling in project management, and he has been very good. He has had a lot of experiences, and he had had a lot of experiences, and they have done a lot of things. And then he has faced challenges in projects, and he has made mistakes, and now he has become a kind of he has become very okay, in practice simply because of experience. But in the case of Mr. B, he was just certified just a month ago. All right, but he doesn't have much experience in project management. Now you place Mr. A and Mr. B, they are both certified professionals, quite correct. But there's a difference between them. The difference is what the way they approach projects, the emotions, the experience, the way they approach situations in life. This Mr. A is approaching situations based on the experiences he has had. He's able to tackle problems so easily because he knows he has been there. Mr. B is just trying to learn. He doesn't know so much. So it's difficult for Mr. B to understand the way Mr. A approaches projects, right? Because Mr. A is very experienced, quite experienced. So the only way Mr. B can learn, okay, so what Mr. A has is what we call tacit knowledge built based on experience. So now Mr. B can only learn from Mr. A by through job shadowing, meaning that what through apprenticeship, you can just be under him. Yeah, can just walk under him and watch him, approach life situations. And then he's going to see how Mr. A is actually tackling these issues. Then you can say, oh, this is wonderful. I'm really learning a lot from Mr. A. I'm really tapping from his experiences. So that's just what it's all about. So, explicit knowledge is the general common knowledge that you know about principles, talking about strategies and project management is explicit. You can actually transfer this by training. But then, tacit knowledge is not just easy to transfer. It talks about emotional experience and all that. So that is what the difference between it. So you have to manage this knowledge in project management. You have people who are experienced in projects. It would be wise for you to find out the right places to place them at the right time so that you can get the best outputs in your project. If you have people who are not too experienced, you can also see how you can also manage them so that you can get the best outputs from your project. So now, explicit knowledge is fact-based and can be easily communicated through words and symbols. Lessons learned from past projects, processes and procedures, and other information repositories fall under this knowledge type. But in the case of tacit knowledge, it provides context and explanation to explicit knowledge. It includes emotions, experience, and ability which are difficult to communicate in words and symbols, but can only be learned through job shadowing or apprenticeship. So to effectively manage project knowledge, we need to encourage the organization, the organization of workshops. Organize workshops, trainings, and observation. If we create an environment of learning for everyone, let them see how they can improve professionally. Okay? So that is how we can effectively manage project knowledge. So this takes us to the next knowledge area, which is the monitor and the control project work. Monitor and control project work. And if the aspect of the project management where you're always beaming your light on the project, you want to see if everything is going in line with the plan, right? Are you working in line with the plan? Your daily execution of the project is in alignment with the plan or the projection you have made for the project. So the monitor and control project work is done from project initiation through your project closure. So it's advised that every aspect of your project will happen in monitor. Don't forget, you did a project selection and you put up some methodologies, analysis, return on investment. You did a lot of things. You want to check, the cost benefit analysis. You want to check to know if, if this project is really, profitable to the organization. So you're monitoring, okay, from the projections we've made so far and haven't come this far in the project, can we really say that we're going in line with the vision? The objectives have been laid down for this project. So you're looking at that. That's monitoring. You're monitoring. And it involves looking at what is happening in the project, actual project performance, and then comparing it to the forecasted performance to what was planned. So that is what monitoring is all about. So perform integrated change control is, I think I've explained this before, the performing integrated change control. So the performing, I explained this and I told you that you can't just carry out a change in a predictive project management methodology without obtaining a change request. And I explain this because in the predictive methodology, stakeholders are involved, people are involved, people of interest. Okay, and high level stakeholders, investors into the project, their interest is very high, right? So they have made the assumptions. So for you to make a change, you can't just go to the site and just neglect these guys and just make changes that will affect the project negatively. It's important to carry them along. So that is why this performing integrated change control was introduced. Yes. So somehow that's why most people say that the project management predictive methodology is a kind of rigid. Yes. So the essence of the reason is because you want to make sure that you satisfy your key stakeholders. Yes. So if you have to raise a change in the predictive project management methodology, you will have to inform the stakeholders, tell the bosses, tell the investors, let them be aware, not just being aware, let them know the impact of the change on that. There has to be an approval. Then if it's approved, they will be in the picture. So if anything goes wrong later on, they will also bear the risk. So that's just it. So that's the essence of performing integrated change control. So performing integrated change control only happens after the project has been chartered or after the project management plan has been approved. So in the exam, this is kind of a twist in most of the questions. And they will ask you, okay, now the project has not been chartered, meaning authorized. The project management plan has not been approved. Now, you want somebody brought a change request. What should you do? All right. So once the project has not been chartered and the project management plan has not been approved, you don't need a change request. Any change you want to make at that time, you can just go ahead and make it. Without all you need to do, just make the changes, and then everyone will be in the picture of the change. But you don't need a formal, official, documented approval and all that. But once the project has been chartered and once the project management plan has been signed by the stakeholders, you cannot carry out the change except you raise a change request. If you want to, you kind of expand the scope of a project, for instance. Maybe you want to construct a culvert, 100 meters culvert. That's a kind of from initial projection. You have projected that to cost you like 50 million. And then now, $50 million. And then now, somebody's saying, okay, we need to add an extra 10 meters to the culvert because of certain reasons. An increase in scope means addition to the cost of the project. And somebody's paying for it, the sponsor. Now, if that has to happen, you cannot keep the sponsor in the dark. You must carry him along. When we talk of integration, we're talking of a chain of connectivity. So now you're going to look at how the cost, how it's going to affect the cost, the scope, the schedule. If you add an extra 10 meters, it's going to affect your plan. If you were supposed to execute the project in 1 minute, maybe you have to add an extra 5 days. That is an integration. You're integrating it. And also the quality, how it's going to affect the quality requirement. Then material resources, that means you need more material. Okay? Then communication, that means you have to tell people about it. The stakeholders will have to carry them. So all these processes you are integrating. That's why we call the project manager an integrator. So that is performing integrated, change control. Okay. So it is the process of evaluating the nature and effect of requested changes against the approved baseline. Once again, baseline means approved. Once the agreed upon constraints has been approved. For instance, the amount you need to execute the project. Once you agree that it's going to be 100 million for that project, and it's been signed, it becomes the baseline. Meaning, you can't just go beyond that without formal approval. So it's a baseline. The cost baseline, the schedule baseline, the quality baseline, all right? So the cost baseline, the schedule baseline, all right, and the scope baseline, the scope of the project. But in agile project, the product owner is starting with the responsibility of managing changes by interacting with stakeholders and refining backlog requirements. Now, I did mention that in the predictive project management, it's kind of a little, rigid sort of. But in the agile project management, it's very flexible. You don't need this formal approval, but what you need is you need to interact constantly. So there's somebody we call the product owner in the agile project management methodology. So it is the responsibility of the product owner to constantly interact with other stakeholders, find out the changes they want to make. And once he gets the changes, he's going to file it into the product backlog, and then he'll be refining based on priority. Right, so you don't need any format. So it's a more flexible methodology in comparing when compared to the predictive project management methodology. Now, this circle here just explains the project, the perform integrated change control. So for you to do that, first of all, for you to make any change in a project, first of all, you have to request for the change request. There is a change request. There's a form. There has to be a form called change request form. Fill it and tell us what you want to change and why. Then that goes to the project manager who is going to do the impact analysis. How is this change going to affect the project or impact the project? Then from there, he's going to take it to the change control board for approval or denial. Then after that, it's going to implement the change, review. Then finally, it's going to review, document the change, and report. So you have to check if the change, make sure that the change has been executed. Then after that, this takes us to the final knowledge area under project integration management, which is closed project of this. This is the finalization of all activities across tasks and processes to formally close the project, the phase of transition. The plan-driven projects generally have transition between and then a transition at the end. All right. So when we talk about plan-driven projects, we have change-driven project and plan-driven project. Plan-driven project is where you sit in the waterfall methodology, or you call it the traditional methodology or the predictive methodology. It's the same thing, or plan-driven. So the plan-driven means you sat down and made a plan, and everything you do is driven by the plan. That's why it's called plan-driven. So we have, transitions. Most of us who have been in the project, you know that, we call them phases. We have project phases, phase 1 of the project, phase 2 of the project, phase 3 of the project. Maybe phase 1 of the project is, maybe you say, is the earthwork, all right? Earth moving work where you have to do the excavation, do site analysis and the rest of them. The analysis of the site, you have to check the slope analysis and the rest of them and see the water flows and all that. Once you're done with that, and you do the earthwork, excavation, backfilling, and stabilization and the rest of them. Once you're done with that, you say, okay, the first phase is done with. Deliberately it's going to be that the soil and the land is ready for any construction coming on it. Then after that, you're going to say the next thing is going to be what? The foundation, where you do the excavation of foundation trenches and all that, do a whole lot of things. So these are in phases. So you're following a plan, and the plan-driven methodology, has transitions, and these are phases. Okay, the plan generally have transition between, and then a transition at the end of it. So at every phase, you have to tell us when you have finished the earthwork, when you're going into the casting, when you're going into every phase of the project, you have to tell us that. All right, so that is it. So at every point of this transition, you either start and then you close. You start the earthwork, you close the earthwork. You begin the foundation, you end the foundation. You start with the block works and then you finish the block work, or you start with the road work or you start with the stabilization, you're done with the stabilization, or you're starting with the base course and you're done with the base course, or you're starting with the binder course, you're done with the binder course. That's for road projects. So you have to tell us every piece of all these projects. Yes. Then in the end of the project, you should be able to tell us that we have finally come to the end of the project or the end of the phase. So for you to, if you still have hanging issues in your project, you can't assume that the project has come to an end. For instance, you have not paid, you're not done paying your clients or your contractors. Maybe you contracted some people to supply materials to you to do one or two stuff. You're not done paying them, the project is not done. You're not done paying your staff, settling your staff, you're not done with the project. You are not done with the documentation, then the project is not done with. So possibly you could say that, okay, now the final users of the project are not satisfied with the project. They're not okay with the project. They're not happy with the project. Meaning you've not gotten the final validation from you've not obtained customer acceptance of the project. Then you're not done with the project. The project is only done with once your final users have certified the product okay to be used. Then you can boldly say that yes, the project has been done. So that is the closing aspect of the project. And after that, you're going to do final documentation, take notes on all the lessons learned in the project and document them for future use. Yes. So that brings us to the end of our lesson today on project integration management. And all right. So that brings us to the end of it in project integration management. So possibly if you've been following for more effective video lessons, I would like to advise that you kindly like and subscribe to this channel. Yes, like and subscribe, and then so that once these videos are coming, you'll be able to get them very handy, and it's going to be very useful. It's going to be very helpful for your PMP exams, your CE PMP exam. Also, it's going to be very helpful and useful to you as a practicing professional. Yes. Once again, my name is Uchenna Michael Abali. The next video is going to be on project scope management. That's going to be the next. It's going to be the first subsidiary plan under project integration management, and it's going to be my next video. So please stay tuned. Just click the like button, subscribe to the video so that when that comes, it will come to you very handy. Thank you very much, and have a great day.